Life is about strategic planning and making sure you have the negotiation skills to boost your communication. But when it comes to girls, you can often throw all this out the window. Women are different, and this is why you need to make sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can confidently pick up any woman you desire. The next 3 tips, and for those that stick around to the end, the bonus will make sure that women cannot resist you, and regardless of whether you are a high net worth individual or not, you'll have the skills to beat any pickup artist out there. Let's dive in.
Fearless Forge.
Number 1. Overcoming your fear. Number 1 on this list is not specifically a method or tip, but without it, nothing else matters. The first and most important step to picking up any woman is to make sure that you can actually approach her. You can place scenarios over and over in your mind, but unless you put some action into these thoughts, nothing will happen. You see, many men tend to reject themselves before they even approach. In your mind, you're asking yourself whether you have anything that she would want or say yes to. This often makes men dissuade themselves from even trying, and you need to understand that your success rate will remain at 0 if you don't even try. The first step to overcoming your fear is to build experience. For example, if you're scared of driving a car, you don't want to do it. However, once you've driven it a couple of times, you understand that you'll make mistakes, but you have some confidence in driving it. The same applies to women, and once you realize that the worst thing she can do is say no, you can simply power forward. In fact, no doesn't even mean anything, and if she rejects you, it doesn't even matter. There are hundreds of other women who are bound to say yes. The most important thing is just that you do your approach. There are tons of psychological tricks and tips that you can use. Even executive coaches who specialize in dating tend to focus on some of these tricks, but if you don't have the confidence to say hello, there's absolutely no way you can begin to implement it. Now, how do you break your fear or approach anxiety when it comes to women? The simple answer is, once again, the car scenario. Just do it and continue to do it. If you fail, just keep going, as the first step is not to get the woman, but just to get you talking to them. If you can do that, it's a minor victory. The rest of the tips that are about to follow will all be much easier once you break your fear of approaching women. Number 2, start your approach by treating her like a human being and not a god. If you've been admiring her for a while, you've probably built up this illusion of how great she is and how beautiful it will be for you to date her. This is a problem, and the moment you start seeing her this way, you're going to put her on a pedestal. To make this easier to understand, the only true superiors that you need to talk to with a bit of a scared tone are often your employer and those whom you are dependent on for something. But when it comes to random strangers, you often treat them with respect, but you don't need to be afraid of them in any way, shape, or form. The best way to go about this is to ask yourself, what happens if she rejects me? You'll probably feel a little bit embarrassed, and that's about it. You see, whenever a woman says no to you, it doesn't mean a single thing, and once you realize this, you can treat her the exact same way in which you treat your friends. Now, when it comes to pickup lines, this is one thing that'll come down to you and your personality. The days of corny common pickup lines are long gone, and it takes some ingenuity to actually make a woman listen when you use a pickup line. In fact, the best pickup lines aren't prepared ahead of time and often arise from within the moment. Even though being so charismatic is a massive win on your side, you don't need to put that kind of pressure on yourself to start with. If you've just started dating and you're a little scared of approaching, simply start with some small talk and try to get to know the other person. One of the best ways to mask your lack of charisma is to be funny. If you can make her laugh, you've actually won and done more than most men can ever do when it comes to women. Another way to view it is almost like professional networking, and to put yourself in the mindset that you don't need anything other than another contact for your life going forward. When you do this, you'll immediately notice that she's at ease a bit more, and the expectation of just wanting her to give you something starts to fade away. Once she becomes comfortable with you, you can start an actual conversation, which is when you'll learn more about her. Now, as you become better at this, you can use some of the things she tells you to bring in flirty pickup lines and even some humor, but this will naturally happen the more you're comfortable speaking with women. Women will be more attracted to you when you can hold a normal conversation with them, and instead of forcing things, you'll even notice that other women who observe this will be far more interested. This leads to number 3. Number 3, Body language. Now, many people don't like body language, as there are hundreds of videos that go into massive detail when it comes to body language, but this will just refresh your memory with some of the basic body language themes to keep in mind. One of the most important principles is to make sure your body language is open. This means that you should seem confident and have your shoulders up with your chest pushed out. Not only does this show confidence, but it also indicates that you're truly receptive to what she has to say to you. Adding to this is the fact that you should refrain from talking too much about yourself. The first reason you should listen more and speak less is that if you don't know what to talk about, listening will allow her to tell you what her interests are. This will drive the topic of conversation, as no person who's talked the majority of a date has ever said that this guy only talks about himself. It also allows her to see that you truly care about the person and not just what you can gain from the interaction. It shows some class at the same time. Keep in mind that the way you walk and talk are all part of the body language, and it'll have an effect on how your words come across. Your tone of voice should be very similar to when you have a conversation with one of your friends. You don't need to have an entrepreneurial mindset if you want to make sure that your interaction is successful. As part of the body language journey, you should learn to let things go at a cliffhanger. This means that you suddenly tell her that you need to go but would love to catch up again and ask her for her number so you can call her. If she agrees to give you her number, you've already done most of the work. Now it's on setting up the next date. But there's one final tip that also plays a big role. Number 4, being mysterious while doing everything. For those of you who've managed to stick around to the final one, is one of the biggest secrets that successful men often use to make sure when they approach a woman in public, it works out as they plan. You see, the mind of a woman is very curious. Women want to know everything, and when there are things that don't make sense, they'll continue chasing and prying until they have the answers they've been searching for. Now, your job is to make sure that she's left with more questions than answers, as this will make her come back to you. As mentioned earlier, you want to get her to talk and reveal things about herself, as this is what gives you information on how to pivot the conversation and drive it into a specific direction. Once she realizes that you know everything about her and you continue to remain aloof, she'll want to figure out how and why. This gives you the upper hand, and now you can dictate everything. You see, everything revolves around power, and the one who can lead the interaction is often the most attractive and most desired. If you can make her wonder what's going on, she'll be at your every beck and call, hoping that you'll now reveal your feelings. This is very similar to scenes you notice in movies and TV shows where the guy makes the approach, but as soon as she's hooked, he pulls away and keeps her coming back. But the real kicker to these tips is the fact that you can use and apply them anywhere you meet a woman. Not only are all these facts proven, but there are tons of case studies and even experts that attest to these things working. If you can overcome your fear of approaching, and you can follow this up with things like letting her talk or even making her curious about you, you've ultimately won, and you should have her coming to you. But make sure that you check out why older men naturally have these traits next.